tonight's demo is going to be a fun kind of, I'm trying to think of the word that I used. It's worn looking, and but it's fancy at the same time. It's kind of one of those things that you find in your grandma's trunk sort of thing, you know, or in the attic or whatever. But it's a pretty little purple witch's hat. I know, Miss Teresa, you're going to like the purple. And I think we're going to have a good time with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get overhead and we will get started. Okay, so here's what we're working with. And I wanted to have, I have these decorations for Halloween where they're these cute little witches. I got them at one of those home goods stores. And they have these purple, and one has a red and one has an orange hat. And they have, you know, this kind of black lacy with, not like fishnet, but it's got little black dots in it and stuff. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's lots of little black dots in there. So we're going to do that. And I'm actually using some metallic silver in here. So let's get going on this. Okay, so here's the colors. And I have my hat all sketched out. And you can do your hat any shape you want to. All right, I think what's going to be fun here is learning this technique of getting that, that lace to be see-through in the back, and then as it's overlapping, it's a little darker, but it's still see-through on the hat as well. So let's look at the colors here. We've got dioxazine purple and violet pansy, wicker white, licorice, and then I have some citrus green. I have this metallic, it's called platinum, multi-surface platinum metallic. And then we have some floating medium. So not a ton of colors with this one. It's very Halloween toned for sure with the purple. And so I'm going to first grab my 3/4 inch flat and get that damp. Lay it on the paper towel. And I'm going to load with the 2 purples. Okay, so I'm going to get the violet pansy, and let's bring this dioxazine over. We're going to need a lot of color with this, so loading up both of those colors. Thought this was a fun Halloween project. I've seen cute signs out for the season that say things like Broom Riders Club and stuff like that would be cool with this hat. I've done this hat before in just black and white, so that's fun too. So, all right. So let's first, I'm going to shift this over just a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to, you know, sketch this out and everything, but I'm going to end up going over some of my sketch lines just because that's how things go with this. But first we're going to let's come from the top up here. All right. And I'm going to get as far as I can on like where this starts to curve right here. So right in here, let's come down. So I've got the dioxazine purple, the dark color is down on that curve right there. All right. And then we're going to sweep up. Let's go this way with the light to the outside edge. Okay. And let's turn it because I can't get my hand out of the way of the camera. So I'm going to come this way with the light to the outside edge, and we're going to come around. There we go. Keeping that dark edge down. And I'm trying to make it so that the outside edges aren't super smooth. All right, so it's got a little bit of a bump in it. So it's kind of shabby. That's the word I was looking for, shabby. It comes to me eventually, right? All right, so light color to the outside edge. And we're going to sweep down a little more medium. Lots of paint. All right, so we're just going to base coating this in, but I'm keeping that light edge out. All right, and we're going to go, so right there I went over my feather, but I can see it, so that's good. Okay, And I'm going to go ahead and go right over this buckle because I'm going to end up repainting it in white so that the silver shows up. Okay. There we go. All right, so we've got this kind of, it's dark on the right-hand side, and I'm actually, let's side load just a little bit of that licorice now, and we'll turn this way, and we're going to come right up this inside with that licorice and shade that a little bit darker there. All right, so see how that added to it a bit, made it a little bit more shaded on that right side. Right, and then past the band, we're going to come down here, get that curve. There we go. All right, and we're just going to sweep all the way through. So I'm going to grab a bunch more of this paint, and we're going to come through here. And I am just on paper tonight, guys, but this would really look great on like a 11 by 14 or larger canvas. And you could add some caption to it, like I said, for the Halloween season, like "Let's Ride" or something fun like that. All right, and then I'm going to put my light edge to the outside here again and go along that brim. And a lot of this on the brim is going to be covered up with the black from the lace. So you just really want that purple undercolor so that it's visible through the lace. Okay. There. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and clean that brush, and I'm going to grab a 6 flat. Purple is a great color for this season, I think. It goes really well with the orange and other tones for this Halloween season. All right, so I'm loading it with the violet pansy, and then I'm going to come side stroke some of the dioxazine purple. Let's get a little bit closer here. Move this out of the way. I'll slide it over. Okay, so right up here with the dark down, right, I'm going to come inside this curve, push, and slide out. So I'm just keeping that dark to the inside edge. Just trying to cover my pencil lines here. Here we go. All right, and then I just kind of trailed it off like that. And you can even come in, if you like, with a script liner and get a little bit of water with that purple here. Give it a little curve on the end. So she's got kind of a fancy little trail off to her tail on her hat. And I'm just going to pull a little bit of the dioxazine out from there so it's a little shaded. Not showing up real well on the camera, but it is definitely shaded. Okay. So what we want to do now is put the brim on the hat. And, or not the brim, the band, excuse me. So I'm going to get my 16 flat for that. You can use a 16 or a 12. And I'm going to get all licorice on that brush. Okay. And then I'm going to side stroke white and work that in about halfway across the brush. Okay. And then I want strong white as I side load that. See there? So then we can come along from the curve right here. You're going to make just a slightly downward curve as you come around the edge of the hat. And we're going to stroke over to the buckle. And I didn't put any medium in there, but I think I need a little bit. Yeah, so then we can come back here. This might be a better way to do it, and then you stand up on that curve. Okay, so that makes it look like it's going around. And then we'll come in the middle of the buckle right here. And then we'll come from this edge and stand up to that curve. Okay. So you're curving it up and around as you come back to that side. All right, now I'm going to, I'm going to clean that brush for now. We're going to use it again for the lace. And before I go any further, I want to base coat the buckle in white. So I'm getting strong white on this 6 flat. All right, and we're going to come around here. So the buckle goes right there, comes through, underneath. I can see my pencil lines. Right, and so there's a circle this way. There. Okay, and then you're just going to fill that in with the white. Because what we're going to do after that is add, it's got like a knobby silver pattern on it. And so this white will help that silver show. Normally you would do gray, but I'm going to use a dauber, so we want round knobby texture going around. Okay, so that's our buckle. Okay. Now, we want to kind of finish our hat because there's some things I want to do to it to add some texture and some little fun streaks of color to it. So in this case, I'm going to be using this rake brush. This is a 5/8 inch rake from Donna Dewberry's signature collection of brushes. And so the first thing I want to do is let's get some violet pansy on here and then touch into some white and work that into the bristles of the brush. Right, and then what we're going to do is just add some highlights in a curve sweeping over. See that? Might just get a little bit of medium with that. So this will lend to the curved look of the hat as we come around. Okay, and then right here, we're going to sweep. So put like a highlight in the middle of the upright part of the hat. Okay. Add a few more little streaks of light. All right, and then I'm going to wipe that brush off and we're going to pick up licorice. And I want to get just a touch of water with that licorice. And we're going to do the same thing coming in from the dark side of the hat. So right in here, right? So you're adding some creases. Okay, so see how it's making the hat start to look a little slumped when you do that? And we can come from here. Pull that over, maybe a little bit right in here. Okay. And then we did I added a little bit of dark from this edge. I want to be careful though because I don't want it to look fuzzy on the edge. So I'm going to slide up and then make that curve. Slide in, upward curve, and you're matching the same curve that we did with the light color. Okay. There. I think that's going to be good for that. There. Okay. Now I'm going to clean that brush, and then I'm going to come and pick up, I forgot to put out, some neon purple. Right? Which has got, almost looks pinky purple. It's a gel. So I'm picking that up now on this rake brush, and we're going to come over and across that white. So from the edge, and let some of it come across the white. The white being the lighter. It's actually a light purple, almost a lavender color, because it's not white itself. Okay. So I'm looking to really add this to the light colors on the left, the light part of the left side of the hat. You can put some up here as well. I think I like it just right over all that light color instead of the white showing through. So it gives it a little more spooky look, I think. And then the other thing was you can use a flat brush, but I'm just going to continue with this. And I came along this edge here and kind of lightened up that, because this part right here is going to show where the lace doesn't touch it. So I'm just using pressure and sweeping. Okay, so we got that. It's just a little bit of a highlight. So I'm going to get an 8 flat, get that damp. And we're going to, I base coated this circle here for the band white because I needed to get that all one color again. And then next thing I'm going to do is actually put a coat of gray on there. And the gray, I'm not going to bother going with another color. I'm just going to take some black and white and mix it to a gray color. So and I want that a little more white, lighter color. There we go. Get a little bit of medium in here because these colors are a little bit pasty. All right, and so I'm just going to go right around this now with a nice light coat of this gray. And this will help our metallic show, because we're going to do a silver metallic. All right. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to work on my webs for my spider. And I don't want to hear any comments about how you don't like spiders. This is for Halloween and we're doing spiders. They're not real spiders. They're fun little painted spiders. All right, so I'm taking water with my 2-script liner and I'm getting inky licorice. And I'm going to get a little bit of white streak through that. And then we're going to come right up here and we're going to stroke. I need a little more water with that. There we go. All right, so we're going to stroke the web. And you can do a 3-cornered web or a 2-cornered web or whatever works for you, okay? And then we're going to do these pieces coming into the center. Like a starburst. I'm going to come down closer because that's a bit far away. So the question is, how did I keep my paint wet? So just to share with you guys, what I do is, if you've got wet paint on a foam plate and you're going to be a while before you can get back to that color, you take another foam plate and you make like a clamshell lid on it. And then I just set a couple of paint bottles on top of that, and it usually keeps them pretty airtight. The paint lasts a couple of days. It doesn't last a long time. All right, and then I'm going to streak through some white here on this tip and add a few highlights. It starts to dry a little, but it's still usable. Okay. All right, now coming back to that inky black, we can come in between. Where's my finished painting? Oh, here it is. We can come in between these and do little curved strokes. Right, and they're an inward curve. And then just streak through that white again. And hit some highlights on some of those, okay? You could leave them all black too. You don't have to do the white highlight. I just think it adds a little to it, makes it look a little more reflective, right? And then we can come down here and do our little line coming down. Get a little white there. There. And highlight that. All right, and then we're going to do our spider, but while I've got this inky black, we're going to do the legs. So you do 3 segments like that. So out, to angle, and down. Out, angle, down. Okay, and remember, spiders have 8 legs, so my white is a little bit gummy, but it's working. A little bit of white highlight on those. Okay, now let's grab a 6 flap, get that damp, and we'll get licorice. right, and we're going to just stroke an oval shape for the body. And then a little rounder head. Okay. And then I'm going to streak through a little bit of white again. And we'll do a little highlight on one side of each of those. Okay. And there's our cute little spider. All right, so now I am going to put out some fresh licorice because it is not that fresh from the 2 days ago. So I have that, and I'm going to put out some fresh white, and I think I'll put out some fresh metallic too. So there's licorice and white, and then I've got this is platinum metallic. I'll just put that right next to the thing I had. And then we have some citrus green. Okay. All right. So next thing we want to do is we're going to add all the kind of frilly lace coming. There's lace that ripples around the top and bottom of the band, and then there's lace that falls over the brim of the hat. Okay, so let's do the brim of the hat lace first. I'm going to get my 16 flat damp, and then I'm going to get floating medium. Load that on the brush. And then we're going to get licorice mixed with floating medium. So I want a lot of floating medium mixed with that licorice so that it's thin. See that, how thin that is? Right? And we're just going to keep working with that as our base. So get a little more of that medium in there. So for the first thing I want to do is the lace that's hanging behind the other side of the hat. And so we're going to come from here, and it's going to be fairly transparent. And we're going just to the edge of the brim of the hat. Okay. So it needs to be very thin. I want to get some of that heavy paint out of there and just make sure it's very thin. So you have some there, and then we have some back here. And I'm just going to kind of wiggle that down. Normally I wouldn't have a pattern for lace, but at least it's helping you to see where it's going to go. Okay. So it needs to be thin. Plenty of medium. All right, and then we have another one right here. So we come right through there. All right, so those are the three pieces that are kind of hanging in the back, and you can see them, they're fairly transparent. Now I'm going to continue with that color, but I'm going to side stroke a little strong licorice. Rest of it, oh, knew I'd get into that green. Darn it. The rest of it needs to be thin. Okay, so we're going to come from the band on the hat, and I want that black to the outside edge. We're going to come along here, and we're going to make little loops and then pull it back, right? And so that black on the outside edge, it might be kind of tough to see with this glare, but see the purple, you can see through the purple, or see through the black here, and you're seeing the purple, and then just the heavy black is on that outside edge. Okay, so I'm going to get some more medium on my plate. Here we go. All right, so medium with the black, and then we're going to side stroke some strong licorice right here. And then we just continue to pull from that brim or from that band with that dark to the edge. And then transparent black for the rest of it. See there? So you want it to look like lace and be fairly thin, and it just has that one edge that's not, or that's not see-through. Okay, then you're going to side stroke that black again, and we're going to come with that dark edge just along the bottom of that lace and then pull it back. Right, so you see how that's see-through? Okay, more medium with the licorice, and we'll do some more. Right through here. Side stroke that strong black, and you'll get that dark edge. Okay, and then more medium again. Now you could do the all medium the whole time and then come back and do the side stroke of the black, but that's up to you. All right, so we're going to come through here, and we're just, let's pull it down, that thin black. And then we can create our little edge. Side stroke that black and do your edge. Okay, so you're seeing the see-through parts, and then the heavy black is on the edge. More medium. Right, and then we'll finish on the back part here. I'm going to pull that all down. And through here. Okay, and then we'll side stroke that black one last time. And we'll come along that edge. And pull it back. So see how you're getting the layers. The stuff in the back here is thinner, right? And then the front is a little stronger. Then I came with that same brush. Let's wipe that off. A lot in there. And I side stroked some of the silver, the platinum, metallic, and pulled some of that. And that helped to really kind of give a shimmer or a shine to the lace. And it's very loose. Okay. You can even do some of that on the edge. All right. And clean that brush. And then we're going to let that kind of dry. And while that's drying, we're going to do our knobs on the circle of our band here. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to get my, this is a 1/4 inch dauber. I'm going to get half of that in white and the other half in this platinum. Okay. I want plenty of white on half and platinum on the other half. Okay. And so the platinum is going to go in the inside of the circle. We're just going to push and twist like a 1/4 twist. push and twist. So you just button these up next to each other all the way around, keeping the silver in the center. Half white, half silver. And it's just that quarter turn so that you don't have a hard center line where the colors are divided. And finish right there. Okay, so that's our little band. All right, now we're going to do the frilly lace around the headband. So I need yeah, I did use this 8 flat. So we're going to take this 8 flat and let's pull some of this licorice out here where I can get at it. So I need medium on the brush and then side load licorice. Okay, and so you want that strong licorice edge, and the rest, oops, is medium. There. Okay, so with this, I'm going to come with the dark to the outside edge, and we're going to make little wiggly lace strokes. And we're leaving that medium is going to allow the purple to show through. So it looks like a lacy see-through black trim. Okay, and you're just layering multiple strokes with wiggles. And finishing up on this edge right there. Now tuck that in. And then you can do the same thing on the bottom, just reverse it. And I think what I did, yeah, what I ended up doing with that was with that black, I side stroked some white, so I turned it gray. Because against that black lace, you didn't really see it. See how you don't see that really well? So if I do the gray, I think what I did, the whole thing is black. Trying to remember. And then side stroke some white. And that turned it gray. Work that in, good. And let's do this again. There we go. So you're just going just below that band with these little scallop wiggles. Okay, and then over here. There, to finish that. So you got that pretty little lacy frilly edge on there. Okay, and then we came back with our script liner and we got some inky white. So water with the white. And you can go on this lace here, kind of helped it show up. Just little squiggles, see that? And then down here, same thing. There. Then get some inky black. And I did come in on these circles right here, and we did a little outline on the inside of each of those rounds. just kind of helped it stand out a little bit. Give it a little character. Okay, so now what we want to do is finish this up. We're going to do our little feather that's coming out. So the feather comes from inside here. And so you have this bone that comes all the way out and then curls around like that, right? And so we need our rake brush to do that. Makes it real quick and easy when you do that. And I put it away. So this is a 5/8 inch rake brush. We're going to get that wet, and I'm not tapping it off. So I'm going to load that with the citrus green. All right, and then I'm going to get some white. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to start from the tip. So you start and you do a single stroke on the tip, and then you just pull a little short. Now I want to tap off since it's still a little bit wet, so we're going to tap off some of that water. Coming around. On the tip or chisel edge of this brush with this stroke, okay? And you get wider as you come back to the stem or the bone, okay? This is the bone right here. So little streaks of that white blending with that citrus green. Pressure and then streaking out on the chisel edge. All right, same color, get some more white. And we'll do from the inside. So you're stroking this way now. Get a little more of that green. There. So following the curve of the feather all the way back to the beginning. All right, and if you need a little extra white, you can come in here in a few places. There. Okay, then to finish that off, I'm going to wipe off that color and let's get some black. This is already inky, so there's already water in it. And we're going to retrace that bone, the center of the feather, with the chisel edge. And then I just did a few shorter, with less pressure, strokes of that licorice out. See that? So you're making it short. You're intentionally making it go about halfway or less. There. All right, so that makes a pretty feather. All right, then to finish our lace, I came in with my Kiss tool. It's also known as a wipe away tool. It's a great tool for dotting because the end is shaped like a Hershey's Kiss. It's got a nice fine point on it. And we're just going to do dots. I don't know what this kind of lace is called. You see it in hats a lot, the old-timey hats from the 1800s or whatever. If you watch Gilded Age, I like to watch Gilded Age, and they have all this lace and stuff that came over their heads, and so that was fun. And you're just, I'm not doing any kind of pattern, I'm just kind of randomly putting dots. And if you wanted to, if you didn't want to do the black on black, like it's visible to me, but it might not be visible to you, you could use the silver instead. Okay, so just picking up a lot of it and gently putting it down so I can do it quickly. Okay, so you're just going to go over all that lace with these dots. And I did come along the very edge. Right, so here, 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 here. So I made sure I dotted at the bottoms of all those points. And along the edges of the lace. Okay. I think you get the idea. All right. Okay, so there we go. We were able to finish tonight, and I'm so happy. So, not too hard to paint lace if you just think it through. It needs to be transparent, and then you can do little scallops and swirls and things like that. So let's come out. There we go. So I think we finished her. She looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and sign it. And that's our little witch's hat with her little spider.